Okay, we're back live with another Between the Pages book chat. And today we have author William David Ellis to talk about his series, The Harry Ferguson Chronicles. And sorry for the technical issues. As you can probably notice, we're still having a few of them, but we're going to make do as best we can. And now I'm going to turn it over to William David Ellis and let him introduce himself. So take it away.
Hey, David Ellis. I live in a little bitty town called Mineola in East Texas. I used to be a farmer. We had beehives and blackberries. I've been writing since I was in the third grade. My first novel was 3 pages. It didn't sell well. And my mother was an avid reader, and she read to my brother and I in the first grade. I remember being read Edgar Rice Burroughs. And I don't know if you've ever read him or not. He's the man who wrote Tarzan. But his vocabulary was extensive. And we were using 5-syllable words as a first grader. So that's me in a nutshell. My wife is an English teacher. My father was an English teacher. And my daughter is an English teacher. None of them can write. I punctuate when I please. And I write some great stories. So, is that what you needed to hear?
Yeah, I've read all the Tarzan books, so glad to be the fellow Edgar Rice Burroughs fan. So why don't you give everyone why don't you give everyone a quick overview of your series? What it's about. Why don't you tell everyone what your series is about?
Yes, I hear you well.
Okay.
Harry Ferguson Chronicles begins with a book called The Princess Who Forgot She Was Beautiful. And what happens is a medieval, 12th century, a medieval peasant boy rescues a princess. She's been captured by a dragon. It sounds like a fairy tale. And he finds a way to rescue her. In the process, he's burned. And they're in this cavern where the dragon has his lair. And she puts him into a stream. And he disappears because it's a time stream. And he wakes up 1,000 years later in Texas. His wounds are healed, and he lives there and begins a lot of different other adventures. But he also grows old there. She, back in the cave, is distraught, and she jumps into the stream. And she's also captivated through time and space and lands in Texas, but as a 2-year-old. Forgotten completely who she is. She's adopted by a fire marshal and his elderly wife. And they raise her up. She is 6 years old when she meets Harry Ferguson. Ferguson has been coerced by his daughter. And a lot of these characters are... I didn't have to invent anybody. I live with them. So his daughter coerces him to tell the story, any story, to a bunch of little urchins in the library. Give their moms a break and give him an opportunity to use this gift as a storyteller. So he tells the only story he knows. And the little girl is there. And she begins to remember. And he is amazed at what she knows because she knows parts of the story he has not told. And then, to make matters worse, the dragon wasn't killed. And it comes down the same time stream, but only now it inhabits the body of a very evil man. And that man wants the little girl and wants to kill Harry. That's how the first series begins. The rest of the stories talk about time travel and how it affects a person. Harry discovers he has a daughter, but that's really impossible because he's never, been with a woman to cause a daughter. And it's remarkable event. That's the second one is Dances with My Dragon. And then the third one called Kisses of My Enemy, where he meets the woman who is the biological mother of his daughter. She's a witch, by the way. And first time he sees her, he says, "Oh, by the way, you're the mother of my daughter." And she's going, "I don't think so." And so, but she discovers that he has a heart of gold, and he saves her from some assassins. She, by the way, is a Nazi assassin who's working to control Hitler, and because she has her own agenda. So, in the middle of all this, you have dragons that are shifters, time travel stories, and unrequited love. You have honor, you have integrity. You have witches who never met a man they couldn't seduce, and finally meets one she can't, and he his wholeness, absolute integrity, just ravishes her heart. And so that, in essence, is the story. And I don't want to give any more away. So how's that?
Well, that's very interesting. It's got a little. It's got time travel, romance, dragons. I mean, what more could you want? So, what were your reasons? What were your reasons or inspirations for writing the series?
Probably be lying. I could make something up and say, "Oh, what were my reasons for writing it?" Rephrase that question, because I'm trying to buy time to give you a good answer, and not just rephrase the question.
Yeah, where did the idea come from? In other words,
I think all of our ideas are a reflection of our own life, our own heart, and our own fantasies, our own miseries. So somewhere buried in all of that dysfunction is this story. And it comes out in a fantasy. It comes out in heroes and heroines. It comes out in those kind of dilemmas. And I'm pretty sure the origins of this story are embedded somewhere in my psyche. And I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but it's all I have.
Well, that's a good answer. I guess all our stories are embedded in our psyche somewhere.
Yeah,
which is might be kind of frightening for me because I write horror, but
yeah, I was wondering about that. I was thinking, whoa, lady.
I think it's a product. Yeah, I think it's a product of my reading too many mystery novels as a child. So
I mean, blame it on what you want, but man, it's scary.
So, do you have any themes that run through the book, the series?
Well, if you were to do a survey of a large portion of the books on Amazon, just by their cover, they either have a half-naked man standing there with a six-pack of abs, or a beautiful woman, scantily clad, and the themes are pretty obvious. My first book cover that I had to change because nobody liked it was a dragon eating Cheetos, sucking on a Coca-Cola. It's a really different theme. And yet there are some universal themes that run through it. And that is, I call it unrequited love. Harry fell in love as a peasant boy with a princess. Him in one manner, he another. He saved her in another. And all the years he was separated from her, he never forgot her. When she shows up, he's in an awkward position because she's now 6 years old. He's 70. Never anything to in any way besmirch her honor or do anything stupid like that. But it is very awkward. And when the dragon comes after her, he has to fight for her. And so you have an old man rising to an old glory, and a young woman, very young, for remembering who she is. And what's amazing is her old memories, I don't know if you've ever studied multiple personalities, but there's several, and the way you heal an individual like that, I was a counselor for years, is you merge the personalities. And during a couple of the books, her personality, 6-year-old and the 200-year-old or 1,200-year-old woman, are merging, and she's becoming this individual. And she also becomes a dragon. She learns to shift, and so they are together, but they're not. You have a lot of that, and I think that is reflected in a lot of reality and our emotions. Our desire is kind of placed in front of people, and they read it and they say, well, if they ever get together, it's not like, well, I'm thinking, man, it's like, oh my gosh, And the tension, I've had people say, several actually, I couldn't put it down, and it kept me awake at night, and I had to read the whole series. I'm going, golly, that's pretty good for a redneck boy in Texas to hear something like that.
Yeah.
So did that help?
Yeah. The unrequited love is always a good theme, I think.
Yeah.
So part of the series deals with time travel, but so what kind of history did you play with the time travel?
Oh, okay. World War II. The witch, Belle Rodham, who is the biological mother of Harry's daughter, is her assignment is to make sure that Nazi Germany fights against Russia, because she is from also acquainted with a timeline where they didn't, and the Cold War was a hot one. So her job is to ensure that Russia is bled dry by Nazi Germany and not capable of rising to conquer the world. So she has an agenda, which is good, but she doesn't realize there are other timelines where Cold War was won by the United States, and Harry is from that one. And so he is wanting to ensure that Nazi Germany loses the war. So I use those alternative, and I use a lot of
Okay, we lost.
fantasy. Hey, I'm here. You there?
Yeah, we lost
Hello?
you for a few minutes there, but it's only for a couple of seconds. So
Minutes or seconds? Okay.
About 30 seconds.
Okay. I do not know where we were when we stopped, so I don't know where to go.
Well, you were talking about
how
Harry was coming from the Cold War timeline where the U.S. won, and how the timelines were differing and stuff.
And so they're both relatively good people, and at least he is. And but she is, her ancestors were Nephilim, and she has been genetically not modified, but through selective breeding to become the individual she is. And so anyway, I talk like these people are real. That's crazy.
Hey, all authors talk like their characters are real, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, but mine's named Belle Rodham, Harry, and Sarah. It's not like the Wonka or Shabuki, the elf god of war. I don't make those names up. It's like, this is Mineola, Texas. It's like so much easier to write about John and Harry. And but wait till you meet the character Brady. Brady is a First River Watcher, Sasquatch. He's also a shifter, and he is the professor of organic chemistry at East Texas Community College. So you have a Bigfoot who looks like a normal guy who, and that's how they've been hiding. That's why nobody can find a Bigfoot, because they get after them, and then they shift to a normal person, and they're saying, "Hey, did you see a Bigfoot?" It's like, "No." So anyway, that's Brady.
Well,
I named most of these characters after. Oh yeah. I just pulled that right out.
Yeah. Nobody found a Bigfoot because they're shifters. Yeah, God, like that one.
Absolutely. You didn't know that? So where are we?
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Harry. What are his likes, dislikes, flaws, things like that?
What now? What about him?
What are his likes, his dislikes, his flaws, character, basic stuff?
Well, it was real easy to write about Harry. I just wrote myself into the book. And so, he likes watermelon ice cream. He is a redneck, but a sophisticated one. And sometimes he hides behind his language. And he's always using funny stories and metaphors. And he honors women, but he understands them. That means that sometimes he just doesn't put up with a lot of BS. No, ma'am, that ain't right. And he'll say things like that. And they'll make all kind of excuses, and he'll go, uh-uh. And so, but his integrity, For instance, there's one time when he first meets Belle Rodham, and they're having a meal, and Harry bows his head, and he says, "Grace." Oh. And she looks at him in disgust, and she says, "Not everyone prays to your God." And he says, "Damn shame, ain't it?" And what do you do with that? What do you do with that? I mean, Harry's real, and it's so easy to write about him because all of my friends talk like him. I use scenes from their life. I use phrases that they use, and he is a mixture of several men that I know that help.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any quirky characters, secondary characters that steal the scenes in your book?
Quirky characters. How about the kids? The library scene is full of children. They're about 6 years old. And when Sarah, 6, she is the library queen. She is a snaggletooth dictator. And she always causing trouble. And he loves her. And that's before he even knows who she is. And then there's, let's see, there's Raleigh. He shows up in my second book. He is a dog, big as a wolf, big white German Shepherd. And he's named after our German Shepherd, passed. And yet he's sentient. Now, he's kind of dumb, and he talks like Yoda. Can you imagine a big white German Shepherd who can read your thoughts and you speak to him telepathically, and he sounds like Yoda, and but he's funny. And he puts Harry on the spot. But the way he does that brings out some sentient points, some really good ideas. And I can use this dumb creature who's not dumb at all. And so Raleigh is a good character. Lizzie grows, the librarian, through the series until she's like a major character in the last part. There's the rivalry between Sarah as a young woman, Harry, because he is traveling back through time. His body changes until he's like 30. And he meets Belle Rodham because he thinks Sarah is dead. And he falls in love with the witch, who is the biological mother of his daughter. And then Sarah shows up. Oh, my goodness. That's the book I'm editing now called Rivals. Because Belle Rodham has changed her witchy ways and seen that Harry given his life for her. And then he's totally forgotten who Sarah is because of Nazi drugs. They've robbed his memory. He doesn't know who she is. And she walks into this room where he's in the hospital, and Belle Rodham is seated there. And Belle Rodham doesn't know that he's forgotten who Sarah is. And Sarah walks in there. She's come through time, given up a whole lot to be with him. Has no idea who she is. And everybody's out going, whoa, what just happened? Well, that's how book 3 ends. And it's called Kisses of My Enemy. It's about Belle Rodham. And Rivals is book 4. And then finally, and I hate this, that the series is going to end. If I'm the only one that ever reads it all, I still hate it. Because Harry has a choice to make. Is it going to be Belle Rodham? Or is it going to be Sarah? And he loves both of them. But Belle Rodham realizes that he was meant for Sarah. And if I tell you any more, I'll spoil it.
Yeah, we don't want spoilers. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up here. And why don't you tell the viewers where they can find you and your books?
Okay. Of course, I'm on Amazon. You can Google my name, William David Ellis, and it'll lead you to most of my books. You can also go to my website, williamdavidellisauthor.com, and there's some short stories there you can read. Let's see, what else? Oh, I've got a new book coming out. It's a Sherlock Holmes book. He's public domain now. And you can stories there. It's called Angels, Saints, Sinners, the conversion of Sherlock Holmes. He does not believe in the supernatural. So he starts meeting some things that are supernatural. So that's pretty cool. That do it.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for being here today. It was a pleasure talking to you, and your books sound like real fun. And so we'll be back here tomorrow with another Between the Pages book chat with author Sean Crow. So join us then. Okay. We'll see you for now. Bye.